This is the CreaseCast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sadcast. I'm your host, Lachlan Irvin. Joining me today is Jacob New. As we venture into yet another episode of why are the Canucks? Not just like how did they lose? How have they disappointed us today? Just why are they? Why are they the way that they are?
No who's, no what's, no when's, no where's, just why's.
No ifs, no buts, just
and perhaps how's.
Guaranteed sadness.
How?
What? How?
Just
yes,
how?
Well, it all started in 2014 when John Tortorella decided to break his way into the Calgary Flames hallway. No, I'm just kidding. All right. I guess we have to talk about hockey, don't we? We have to talk about hockey. We have to talk about the press conference that was today. Yesterday was a very interesting day. Today was much more of the usual garbage we're used to in this market at this point. I think we'll just start off nice and easy here. Infinity Gauntlet for the game against the Colorado Avalanche, where they lost 4-2. It's hard to really say that anybody was really warranting of the Infinity Gauntlet, Jacob. But I guess if I had to give it to somebody, it would have to be Tucker Poolman with his goal and an assist.
First ever goal as a Vancouver Canuck.
First goal as a Vancouver Canuck. I believe he has
take the lead.
He has
at one
point.
To
take the lead. He had at one point he would have had the game-winning goal, which would have been so par for the course for this team and their history of storytelling. But he's I believe he passed his point total from last year, which was 3 points or something ridiculous.
I think it was actually one. It might have just been 1 point in 39 games. I'm pretty sure Cody tweeted that out today.
Oh my God.
And I immediately replied, with the joke. It's like, he got 2 points yesterday. Come on. He's good.
You see what this team can do. You see how we
these
take
signings are absolutely amazing. Tucker Poolman,
in the rough.
Top 4 defenseman.
We take these diamonds in the rough and we make them all nice and shiny with their 2 points.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Is he actually your genuine gauntlet though?
Points.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Because here's the thing. Again, was there really anyone worthy of the Infinity Gauntlet yesterday? No,
I have
probably
one.
not. Oh, okay. You have
well,
one.
not
right.
like, okay, when you say worthy as in like someone that gets like first star in the game, not first star worthy, but you can see a few players. Like I was at the game and I saw a couple players on the Canucks still actually be giving their all, even though it might have not been on the point sheet. I would give it to Garland for his goal. Yeah. It was a good move. He had a pretty nice setup, and then I think he shot it, and then it might have went off. I think who was it? It wasn't Poolman. It was Dickinson. Maybe Dickinson put it in front, and then he put in the rebound.
Yeah, Dickinson had a better game than he's had of late.
Yeah, and then also Pod's even he had a good effort on that goal too. So you could say that, I would say the 3 players that actually I saw try at least yesterday were Garland, Podkolzin, even though he wasn't on the score sheet with that play, and then Höglander. He's been scoring. He didn't score yesterday, but still, he seems like one of the only few players out there still trying to do as much as he can.
Yeah,
because Pettersson and Brock can't be found anywhere apparently.
Brock Besser had 4 shots on goal, which was the second most of any
were they impactful shots though, or were they all into the press? A lot of them weren't.
That's a good question. They might not have been the best shots in the world, but this has been a obviously we're coming off of the disastrous road trip. Fans were coming out to the building for looking for blood a little bit. And we had gotten word earlier in the week that, fan reaction is going to really judge how this team goes forward. Yeah. Now, Jacob, you were at the game. You were at the game yesterday.
I was.
And I guess just why don't you just run us down what the atmosphere was like in there for most of the night?
So atmosphere wise, beginning it was very timid and just kind of apathetic. Like, people showing up, like people were given enthusiasm, kind of that. They played the Canada soccer highlights during the anthem, which did mess up the anthem singer for like 2 seconds because everyone had like a joyous response to that. So that was kind of, I guess, a distraction. And then the Colorado scored first. There was a very, I think, they score. No chance yet there. And then I think
it sounded loud. I will say it, that the cheering on that goal was a little louder than.
Well, there were quite a few Colorado fans there.
Interesting.
Like I saw quite a few jerseys, like even from my spot, like I was in an upper bowl, I could see, I'm pretty sure because there's always like BC guys on the Colorado team. There was a box that had a Colorado like banner kind of hanging off one of there. It would have been Byram or Jost, like one of those families.
Byram didn't play, so it might now that
I think it could have been Jost. Yeah,
he might have traveled just with the team just so he could come back to Vancouver. For it, and but yeah, Jost was another one. Yeah, there's quite a few BC kids on that team.
Yeah. So in terms of atmosphere, the first period they were booed. There was pretty much like you could hear boos after the first. They were down, I think 1-0 by then.
Yeah.
Second period, they come out, they tie the game.
Much better.
It was well, even like the end of the first, they were booed off, but their effort wasn't like terrible. Like the first 10 minutes, ish, they weren't very good. It was 7-1 shots to start the game. It's a slow start, trademark slow start. And then after they actually kind of pushed back by the end of the period, they had tied them in shots, but they hadn't tied the game. And then by the second period, they tied it. And that was the Garland goal. And then also, I think it was tied at the end of the second. There weren't, I think people were like, oh, if things go south, the chanting and like boos would come down. And then in the third period, kind of a lot of stuff happened in the third. So before we go into fan reaction, let's talk about the third because there was quite a few things. The penalties, the reffing. Go over this again. Well, we've already talked about this in like multiple games.
There was NHL refs are notoriously not good. And there were some very bad calls on both teams in the later stages of, I believe, the second period, like right at the tail end there.
There were some in the second and some in the third, I thought.
Yeah, there was Bo Horvat getting a phantom hooking call. Then there was...
Well, I thought that wasn't phantom. I saw the hook. It was weak, but it was there. It was a weak one. It wasn't phantom. The trip on Mott, that was a phantom call. It's like the Demko trip a couple days ago.
The net that where he knocked the pegs off, there was that.
No, not the delay. I'm talking about the one where like his pad is sticking out near the end of the game, and like when he's kind of slid out of this crease, or it was Halak. Sorry, not Demko. Yeah, his hat is out of the crease, and a guy just is near it, and he falls over, and then they immediately call a trip. Like it's like his stick is on the ice, and the guy is right next to it, and he falls over. Trip, supposedly.
And then Nazem Kadri got called on an interference call
2 seconds into the 2-minute advantage, and he was not happy.
It was a weak call. It was another weak call. Like, and it's no secret that referees don't seem to like Nazem Kadri at all. And then you get into the third period, and Canucks take the lead. They're up 2-1 in a game. Suddenly they're winning against the last year's reigning President's Trophy winners.
Pullman gets like the pinball goal. That kind of goes in off an Avda defender.
I'm a big Darcy Kemper guy. I feel he's very underrated as far as the NHL is concerned, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's a bit injury prone. He was not good. He was not good in that game.
Kemper was.
He had a couple nice saves. Like he had a couple very good.
A lot
saves.
of them were into the crust or just not a lot. Like this, people are screening, but like when the shot comes through, it's full clear for him to just make a save. There wasn't a lot of
Kemper. He was not at 100%. No, he was not his 100% best, and yet he knocks the puck into his own net on the Pullman goal to a degree as well. And then the Canucks just completely and utterly, there's no better way to describe it than they fell apart. They just completely lost their mind and fell apart. It starts with the fact that they take one penalty. Okay, not good.
They took coincidental roughing. I thought
Alex
Miller
Chason
I thought Miller was gonna get a like an extra 2 because when Kadri scores the goal, like that goal, like literally 40 seconds after the Canucks take the lead, he shoves Kadri right into the net.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, okay.
But first, like there's the chase on elbowing penalty that leads to that goal, which of course, if you're Alex Chason, your whole job is to not take a bad penalty because you're the power play. You're literally only on the roster because you're a power play specialist. So if you're at 5v5, if you take a penalty, yeah, you're not doing your job and you're not playing for the rest, and you shouldn't play for the rest of the game. Like you can't do that. And against Jack Johnson of all players, right? You can't be taking penalties at that point. And then, yeah, you get into the JT Miller thing where he just shoves Nazem Kadri from behind, like blatantly, like that's such a stupid.
Right after the play, like it's like he scored and he shoves him right in
again
after the play is done.
Yeah, the fact that he got coincidental minors out of that is bananas.
I thought, that's the ref thing.
Every right to be mad. Like the refs, the Abs had every right to be mad. Like he threw him and he could have he hit.
It was dangerous. It was extremely dangerous because you see him go down, like he shoves him and then his head just narrowly misses the post.
Yeah. I think it smacks it like very slightly.
Or even he hits it, but at the same time, like I've seen plays where people hit various parts of their body. It doesn't even have to be the head. Like a guy gets shoved in, hits his knee, broken knee, out for so much time or whatever.
Yeah, that happened to Connor McDavid a few years back. So Miller gets himself thrown in the box on that play, and of course he's one of their penalty killers now, and so they lose him. And even at 4-on-4, and then Quinn Hughes doesn't get called on there's a play in the corner where he's upset because he does not get the call on Sam Girard. Sam Girard, I believe, tripped him. There should have been a call on that, no doubt.
Yeah, they missed that.
But then Quinn Hughes makes the prime mistake of skating all the way back to his own end and cross-checking Sam Girard in the back without when he's not looking. And it's like in the middle of the play, like completely
uncharacteristic for him, but characteristic of this team now. The fact of the second the going gets tough, they completely fall apart. That is this team now. That's their identity. We've been talking there it is. We've been talking for weeks about what is this team's identity. It's completely falling apart and in the third period, regardless of whether you're winning or losing. That's what they are now. Except that one game against the Rangers.
Except for that,
that's the one exception.
And maybe that game at the beginning against the Oilers. That was it. That's it. They fell apart against Vegas. They fell apart against Colorado, Anaheim. Like they've done it. They do it over and over again. And then that ends up leading right to the game winner off a Cale Makar shot, a beautiful shot.
Yep.
And even though there's 17 minutes left in that game at that point, you're kind of like, well, this is over. Like this is done. Game's over. They're not coming back from this. You knew the second they got thrown in the box, like that Miller and Hughes both sat in the box for back-to-back completely unnecessary, stupid penalties. That this game was over.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's nothing. There was nothing the Canucks could do. They don't have the mental fortitude to come back. And then the fans voice their displeasure, and it gets just louder and louder. And it all amounted to absolutely nothing. As evidenced by today, it meant to nothing. You had a tweet at the game, from the video, taking video of the concourse, because that was kind of the thing. So watching from home, you could hear that, you could see on Twitter, you could see oh, there's booing,
signs,
oh, there's firebending, and you could see the signs. There was one guy
some
by
very
the glass.
Good ones, and the jersey too. Yeah,
the jersey of him. So he has a jersey. If you haven't seen it, this guy went with a jersey that has literally all of Jim Benning's worst decisions, the name bars from every worst player, every bad player Jim Benning's ever acquired, or good player that he's let go for nothing. And you get into things there's Holtby to Foley, good Branson, I think Lyndon Vay is on there.
Vay's on there, yeah.
I'm
Like
you know
some real throwbacks.
Yeah, who's missing from that jersey? Like in terms of if there's one name that's missing that you would throw on that jersey, who is it?
For me, it's McCann.
Yeah, I have McCann. Okay,
It's McCann, partially because there was that whole thing where I remember back in 2015 when they traded him, or 2016, people were like, "Oh, he's too cocky. Like as a teenager, he's like a locker room problem." And then they trade him for big, tough defenseman Eric Gabranson. And they threw in an extra pick for good measure as well, because that's the way our trade strategy is. It's like NHL 22. It's like, they won't go through. I'm just throwing an extra pick for safe measure. It's not even like they asked and said, "Hey, would this suffice?" It's like, no. We'll throw in a pick before we even propose it.
Because Jim Benning is terrific at negotiating.
Absolutely.
For me, it's one of three players. I either want to see Derek Pouliot. There is no Derek Pouliot. I want either him or Nikolai Goldobin or Jonathan Dahlin. I want one of those three.
There's a good choices there because they're all kind of from certain points of the past 8 years.
They're all different mistakes or differently stupid, like different mistakes.
Do you? I don't know about Pouliot though. Come on, he scored the OT goal against Colorado in that crazy game like 3 or 4 years ago that Aqua live tweeted.
For sure,
man, so tight, almost like a playoff game.
Sure, but he also was never. He also amounted to absolutely nothing. Like they didn't get like
that goal though.
In that fair.
I know.
In that particular trade, like they did give up like enough. They did really get like they gave it Andre Padan to get him. It was a pretty pretty low risk deal.
Speaking of which, Padan was, I'm pretty sure, that Russian player that gave the interview that said that McCann was like not a good locker room presence or something. He went back to Russia that season and then gave an interview, and it's like it was loosely translated, but essentially, there's this one player that acted like a lone star or whatever.
Which again, just looking back on it, sounds so weird. Like I wouldn't be surprised if everyone was like, "Wait, no, we didn't mean McCann. We meant Jake Virtanen. We meant the other one that they kept."
Yeah.
Especially God. That was what a draft year for them. They drafted 2 guys with character issues.
Yeah.
Right out of the game. Now, at least McCann learned. At least McCann appears.
He's still in the NHL, and
he's talked about it before that he's like, I needed to kind of I needed the wake up call.
And he is one of the many I would say top 6 faces of the Kraken right now.
Yeah,
for what they are right now, but still, people I guarantee you there are some McCann jerseys down in Seattle.
Oh, 100%. There's absolutely. Yeah. And again, there's so many bad decisions. In fact, one of them was playing against the Canucks, and I was in that game last night, and I was thinking, man, it would be some poetic justice if this game was sealed by a Jason Megna goal. That would have been such
really would like that.
That would have been you put a bow on the entire era. That's it. That's the tweet. It's Jason Megna scoring.
Some people were tweeting being like, Megna out there on the PK. This has got to be a troll by Bednar.
In a way.
Or is Bednar even the coach still?
Yeah.
Of Colorado? He is? Okay.
Still,
all right.
It's still
Bednar.
So okay. Bednar.
Okay.
And there were points the Avalanche weren't good in that game. That's the main takeaway.
No, they weren't.
From that game is that the Avalanche weren't good overall. Just objectively, they did not play a very good hockey game.
They didn't have McKinnon. They didn't have Byram.
They didn't have Byram. They didn't have. I think they're missing somebody else to injury as well.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, they didn't look very good, and yet they still beat the Canucks, and they still beat them. That is, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the Vancouver Canucks this year and what they are as a team, this is I don't know what else will. That is the calling card of this team. Yeah. The fact that we were talking about at the beginning of the season, this team's got a shot to maybe make the playoffs. The Pacific Division's not super good. They might have a couple shots here. Seems ridiculous in hindsight. This team is going nowhere.
A lot of models showed that they wouldn't make the playoffs. And, the optimist in everyone wants to say, hey, new people in the organization would, provide a boost, like OEL. Maybe he has a renaissance. Dickinson and, those new faces essentially, hey, the models are crap. It's biased. They're going to do this. And literally we're like, I don't know, like 16 or 17 games in, and it seems pretty clear that the models were right on point.
I mean, there is the fact that like OEL has actually been better than
he's been good. Yeah,
he's been better than I expected.
Better. The decline will happen with the contract as well. It's not going to be great. Right now, it's fine. Well, yeah, it's not fine actually, but I mean, like his play is fine.
Yeah. For what it's one of those things where objectively he's doing better than I think I would have expected him to at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't justify the fact that he's the highest paid like defenseman on the team or one of them. Like that there's that's clearly not justified through that in the same way with like Tyler Myers, who's been better than expected, I think, this year as well. This is a team that is not like, I don't know how else to put it. They're not good. They're not a good hockey team.
Not good.
It's frustrating to see just how you go from a team that was in 2019-20. Like, let's forget the bubble even. Let's not even talk about that. Like, it's just the fact of like during that regular season, they looked like they were a team that actually like believed in themselves, and they looked like they believed in the fact that they could do bigger and better things. They seemed to be having fun playing hockey. They seemed to be, a group that had, despite not having a lot of expectations on their shoulders, at least from the fan standpoint, they were playing like they belonged, and they
played like they had nothing to lose, and they were having fun with it. Like they
dressed for the job they had. They're just for the job they wanted, not the job they had, which was, and the job they wanted was playoff contender, cup contender. This team is not that. This team does not seem to have any sort of like resiliency in the lineup, like save for a game or two. They seem to be a group that, again, the second the going gets tough, the whole house falls apart. It's a house of cards. It just takes one for the whole thing to come down. And as a Canucks fan, after the last like 8 years, you're sitting there wondering like, what? This is what we have to show. This is what the Canucks as a franchise have to show us. This is what Jim Benning and his wonderful management team have to show for their work. In 8 years, it's been almost a decade. We're a couple years off from a decade. It's been half of Francesco Aquilini's ownership tenure, at least as the full owners of the Canucks. And this is what we have to show for it. A team that, when healthy, cannot beat a team on its that's having its worst day. Cannot beat a playoff team on having its worst like game of the month. Like, you just can't. They're not good enough. They're straight up not good enough. And there's no amount of Thatcher Demko great saves that can save them at this point. And honestly, like, I don't like it. It already feels like the season's over. Like, we're only 17 games in to this year, and it already kind of feels like we're just on the death march back to into May. Like, this is it. Like, we're already here.
Well, there's a lot of fact, like the PK, like it's literally the worst in the cap era. It's like 60.3% in 19 games so far.
And I was listening in NHL history since they recorded the stat, which is
essentially I think someone said that the second worst was around I think it was the LA Kings one year. It would have been like in the 20th century, and it was something like 68. Now, if the Canucks are at 60% already at 19 games, they would have to go on an insane tear of power, like killing off penalties, essentially, just to get back up to 68.
Yep.
Because if they're on pace for this right now, this is like, if this is their slide and this is how they're going to trend for the rest of the season, this is going to be, I wouldn't be like, it could go down to 55 or even 50 at this point. It's totally possible unless something changes.
Yeah. As Cody
if something in the PK changes.
As Cody put it so eloquently, Thanos had a higher kill rate than the Canucks penalty kill, which isn't good. The fact of like there are some stats, obviously, like there are obviously blips on the radar, like in terms of like how stats and everything. Like, in fact, Colorado is a good example where they had that 1 year where they were just they were suddenly they were just absolutely very suddenly completely terrible in 1 year. And then suddenly the next year, oh, they were fine. Like they were just fine the next year. The Canucks are not that, or at least their penalty kill isn't. The Canucks are not a case of a team that just happens to be having the worst season ever on their penalty kill.
It goes higher than a single coach. Like everyone was assuming it was Newell Brown. He's gone.
Yeah.
And Bradshaw's in, and we're better 5-on-5 than we were last year. But now, Brown's in Anaheim, and they have like a top 10 penalty or power player or penalty kill. One of those two.
The
special teams are decent in Anaheim. So it's not Brown because everyone was like, it can't get worse than last year. And yeah, it actually can.
Oh,
the special teams can get way worse than what it was in 2020, 2021.
Never ask how can this get any worse, because then it always does.
It's just that's how it goes the last 8 years. It's like, it can't get worse than that. No, it just does. So
yep, this team is objectively no good. And I feel so bad. Like this is a show we're supposed to be like, we're supposed to have fun with it and everything. Nope, this is not fun. I am not having fun covering the Vancouver Canucks right now because they're absolute ass.
I'm not happy, Lachlan. I'm not
happy.
I'm not happy,
Really?
Lachlan. Not happy. And tell me why. Why am I not happy?
I don't know.
Because this team sucks.
Yeah.
It does. And we've been fed so many excuses over the last 8 years. It's always interesting because I mean today, like, we'll get to the Benning presser as well to talk about the things they brought up, but it's just, I feel like every Benning presser has been the exact same, minus like one more interesting tidbit that speaks volumes about the organization or his own communication strategy. Like you get one new thing every time, but it's mostly just the same thing. You know,
get one new meme every single time.
A meme or something interesting. So like, there was like the Hamnick thing for the last couple months. That was, the ongoing issue. And today it was the comparison with the Abbotsford stuff. And I feel like that was taken out of proportion online.
Yeah, that one was
there's room to give on both sides. It probably should have been rephrased better, but at the same time, I do not think Benning meant any ill will of that. It was more along the lines of, hey, there's bigger stuff than hockey. And we want to make sure that we're thinking of everyone out in the valley, and that the Abbotsford Canucks and Canucks Sports Entertainment are going to work together to make sure that we raise the community up. And it was but it was related to a question about like how the Canucks were doing. And it's like, we probably should just like start the press conference without saying, hey, before we start, we want to think about everyone in Abbotsford. We're going to be doing our best to help that, instead of relating to it. So
it was one of those. Well, yeah, it's one of those things where like, you get what he's trying to say there, but it's just at the end of the day, it's another case of like, hey, maybe just maybe you should have gotten him a president of hockey ops who could do, or even
just a PR expert that just would say, hey, when you go to the media, these are the talking points. Like we literally have PR class, Lachlan, together, and we're learning this.
It's like, well, you know what it is? It's like watching a Trump press conference, which is way I put it last year.
Is it?
Yeah, because it starts off on like on the cue cards, basically. Like it starts on message and then it divulges, and then you can see the seconds and you can immediately see when oh no, he's gone off script. What is he doing? Like
I can see that comparison
because every time Jim Benning's press conferences go the same way, where they're like, it starts off like, oh, he's got a message, he's got something, even if it's not a message I think is correct or accurate, it's something. And then you start to see it. And then the second the hard questions start coming through, you see him immediately start to veer off course. And that's when things go really, really badly. Just before we get into that, basically the reason why he was even talking today was because of, there were Fire Benning chants going on all through the night. More so, like, you couldn't hear them as well through the broadcast or anything, but then
They were
Yeah,
audible for
very
some people. Obviously in
yeah.
the third period when they picked up in the corners of the arena, it was definitely like the corners of the upper bowl that were really into it. There were a bunch of people with signs, and
it was still a case of like where the broadcast though, like you could definitely tell you couldn't hear it through, like you could tell like the music was trying to drown it
they're
out.
really. I mean, I was
it
at
louder
that
in
game.
there? Was it louder was the music louder in there than usual? Because
I don't like to speculate, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they're like just play music loud tonight. They just don't say why. If they just give the directive, it's like, hey DJ, just make sure people get into that Sweet Caroline sing along and the Take on Me. But funny enough, both of those were hijacked. Like, so I'm sitting in like 313, and over like in 316, 317, they were one of the sections that were really getting into the chanting. And so like when they're like during the breaks, when they're really trying to get the chant going, they would turn to a sing along or something to distract everyone. And so they did Take on Me, they did Sweet Caroline, and they were doing the bop bop bas, but it's like fire bending or whatever. And then they also did Take on Me, but they switched it out for Sell the Team, which I thought was even better. Because it's like, sell the team, I'll be gone in a day. And it works, actually. The lyrics kind of relate to that, actually, which is pretty funny.
And you know what? Good. Not necessarily because of the chants themselves, just because I hate those damn sing-alongs so much.
They are bad.
They're bad because they do them every game. It's the same two songs.
I swear.
It's the same two songs. It's
they
that
haven't
one and
changed
Summer
that.
of 69 by Bryan Adams.
They switched it up once, but like, yeah. So the ones they did Bryan Adams, but they just do those same two songs over. I remember someone tweeted it was the Colorado game last week when we got pummeled 7-1, and they're like, come on, they get to sing Blink 182 sing-alongs? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
They get blessed with that, and we get the same crap every home game. And it's not even like,
maybe
there's nothing wrong
with Don't Stop Believing.
It's nothing wrong.
Original.
And we're not trying to like deride tradition here. Like there's some traditions within games that make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. But like, no, I'm talking about like things that are like done every home game. A sing along like that doesn't make sense as a tradition. They should be switching it up. Like,
especially when literally other teams are more famous for using that song than you are.
Yeah, we're not.
Don't Sweet Caroline. They do it in Vegas, but instead of Sweet Caroline, it's Sweet Golden Nights. But
they also have like a good goal song. They have Vegas Lights by Panic at the Disco, and we have some like Van Halen riff.
Yeah, I love Van Halen, but it doesn't work. I'm not.
It's not a. Like they're really trying to push the haze during the goal song, and when I see people stand up getting into it, I'm just like,
I get into it when I'm at the games, but I'm still like, there's like 30,000.
I can't even get into it now. Like when it first came out, I was like, like, hey, come on, and now I just can't. It's like it doesn't work. I miss the days when we had like the Black Keys and like the Whip by Loxley as our goal songs, and or even like as much crap as the U2 one got in like 2015. Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
it was the Miracle. And it was repeated. It was just the same riff from that song, but I was like, you know what? It's better than this.
Yeah. They've lost.
Some parts of the presentation, some parts of the presentation, because it was the first home game of the season I went to, I was actually genuinely impressed with. So after the warm-ups, and they had a bunch of like pregame videos. I've seen the 50th anniversary one. They recut a new version of that. I thought that was good, showing the history of the team. And then there was a bunch of new stuff, including like the pregame, the video that they did with the big like production quality.
Avengers,
the Canucks Unite one, essentially.
Yeah. It's oh god, I'm so annoyed that they're ruining.
They need
they're ruining that amazing video. They're ruining that amazing video with a terrible season. I'm so mad.
They seriously need like an actual hero. Like this is the season. If they need they need someone to step up.
I think it's time. Like they just get Paul Rudd. Like I think it's time to call the Avengers. Like that's what they are. Like just call the Avengers and they'll fix this.
But yeah. So getting back to the end of the third and the chance. So they get the empty netter, and then everyone starts leaving. Some chants, like there's people kind of cheering it a little bit, and it's like, okay, it's not that bad. And then me and my friend walk out into the concourse at 313 or whatever, and because I feel like there's a lot more passionate people that just buy cheap seats than like the lower bowl. And they were giving it. They were there was Fire Bending was the first chant that broke out. and we got a video of that. And then it was sell the team, which was actually like people were talking about it online, and I'm like, it's like you can chant it all you want. I don't think it'll make a difference.
Yeah, that's
they still chanted it.
Like the Senators fans did billboards for Melnick out for years, and he's still the owner, because that's literally the one thing you can't change as a fan, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So sometimes you kind of can, but
they still chanted it though.
Yeah,
which is the main point. And
it's
people
more about getting the point across.
So I posted that, and it it did numbers. People saying, "Oh, Canucks fans, they're chanting now." Some people criticized it, being like, they don't have the guts to do it in the bowl. They're doing it in the concourse as they leave. I'm like, it doesn't. Oh, some people they'll see that and they're like, oh, they can't even cheer it in the they can't even cheer it at the game. They're doing it in the concourse as they leave. Bunch of losers. I'm like,
somebody didn't watch the game.
Yeah. So
I'm sure it's another team or whatever, like another fan base or what have you.
I don't know about that actually.
Yeah,
I won't speculate, but yeah. So that happened. And the sentiment after that game, both of those things were trending like big time last night. And, I think any rational fan would have known. It's like, yeah, nothing's going to change. There's going to be no immediate change, even though there was the message essentially that ownership will look at fan reaction on Wednesday and going forward as to what direction they will take. If it got really bad, maybe they'll do it. Not tonight, obviously. On Wednesday night.
Yesterday, yeah.
But it happened. But the chance happened. They're letting their displeasure be known, and that's what led to the Benning conference today, which we've already discussed.
Which I mean, as soon as you see that, you're like, well, he's not getting fired. That's for sure, because that would be like
unless he it'd be the weirdest thing if he just walks up. He's like, I'm going to be resigning. That would be a bombshell.
As somebody who notoriously does not like to do press conferences, it would be very weird of him to announce a press conference for resigning.
It would make more sense if just they put out like a press release, or Francesco just did a press conference. And if he does a press conference, that makes more headlines, because for people that don't know, he doesn't go in front of the press very often. It was actually talked about quite a bit today. And I think you know what? I want to talk about that. The fact that he doesn't show up. And he likes to tweet essentially from his I don't want to say palace, but he tweets from his high seat, essentially
from his what is it, God,
his penthouse or whatever,
there's from his ivory tower.
So
he tweets from his ivory tower with his
my issue with this, and this isn't even just isolated to me. My issue with this is that often he likes to tweet and bring out hey, this team, we're a real team, we're coming for the playoffs and stuff, when things are good. When this team's on a bit of a run, not this season obviously, but the seasons prior.
He likes to do it when they're bad too, and just make excuses.
Does he? I mean, he does.
Yeah,
he does.
I don't know why we're bad.
But still, it's it's so frustrating, because he'll do that, and then he'll just cower and kind of stay silent when things get tough, especially now. And also in just with other issues, I was talking with you about this, and other people. I don't understand. This isn't this. I find is an ownership and organizational thing. They love to throw people under the bus for stuff that's out of their control, but they should be the ones talking about it. Whether it's Jake Virtanen, because Green was the first one to have to answer for that, which makes no sense.
Travis Green has had to answer for a lot of.
Green has had to answer for everything. It wasn't even Benning.
Crap. Yeah.
It wasn't even Benning. Benning put out statements about it.
COVID outbreak, and your owner doesn't say a damn word about it in public. What the hell are you doing? Good Lord, what are you doing?
There's no proper communication, and I think that the culture there is essentially just when the going is good, we'll celebrate. We'll come out every once in a while, but if the going gets bad, we stick the course, but we're not going to talk. We're just sticking the course. It's a minority of fans. They just think, online, and sure, online places are pretty negative, but I would say with starting yesterday, the sentiment has moved towards more people saying this direction that we're going in, it's not good. We need to change.
what direction? There's no direction.
Yeah, no direction, but like the path that we're going, we have no path. And they claim, oh, we have a path. I'm like, do you?
We have a plan, really? I would love to see this plan. Not right now. Come back in 2 or 3 years when it's done. Okay, it's been 2 or 3 years. Want to show me the plan? No.
So
who are you?
yeah, it's like
no, there's a tweet that I think really illustrates this well, where with Aquilini, where it's specifically it's from it's screaming but calm.
Okay.
Me sowing. Haha, fuck yeah, yes, me reaping. Well, this fucking sucks. What the fuck? Like that's the Canucks. That is
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many, and the thing is, like, I think the problem with Francesco is that he has such a negative reaction to people on Twitter. He just assumes it's just a small number of people. Because people, they love to screen grab, and I'll be honest, like, I find it hilarious. There's so many different memes that have come out of that, like, his tweet where I think he's just like frustrating night, every tweet, and also every tweet, and also we need to talk about, so TVA Sports thought Booth was Francesco.
Oh yeah, Mr. Booth fooled.
We gotta talk. We're gonna quickly mention that
Mr. Booth has fooled everybody at this point. Like,
Booth has boothed everyone.
I have yet to be boothed once. I am proud of that fact. I will hold that honor until it dies.
I can't remember if I have been. I think I look at it, the handle every time though now. Like, it's one of those things for people. Like, if you're on Reddit, there is this really funny poster. I forget what his name is, but he will literally start this long comment in like the most random thread where you think he's going to tell an interesting story, and then he just divulges into, it's like, and then in 1997, The Undertaker took on this person in Hell in a Cell or whatever, like some like just complete
deep into left field by Castellanos. That'll make it a 3-0 ball game.
Jim Benning.
No one will put the headset on again.
It's like Jim Benning. I'm not sure if I'm going to be in this press box again. No.
Oh man.
And there's is like,
Mr. Booth. Never.
I'm a man of faith.
I have never met Mr. Booth. Cody has, sort of. Actually, Cody's only met him through voice. Like, he's met him on a Skype or like on a Zoom with the Roxy Fever people. Not seen his face, just knows of him and knows he's real.
Yeah, he's real.
Yeah, he is real. He's 100% real. He is all of us. He is.
For context, what had happened?
Maybe the real Mr. Booth was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. For context, though, because it got deleted right away. So what happened was he impersonated Francesco Aquilini with the profile pic and everything, but he put out a press release in the Canucks social media template. It makes it look legit and everything.
I think it was legitimately just the one he sent last year, wasn't it? Wasn't it literally like word? Wasn't it literally?
No, it was different. Well, the last sentence was different. It was like it might have been similar, but it was slightly different. It was something like, I still believe. It wasn't just I believe in Jim Travis in this group. It was like, I will still believe, and we will not be making any changes. Like, it was kind of like a slam to be like, we're end of case. We're not doing anything. We're sticking to it. And it was funny because, I think like Wadden was grilling Dollywall for almost falling for it. Or maybe he did actually. He possibly retweeted it, and then just Andrew Wadden was just roasting him for that. But a legit sports publication fell for it and made an article about it It went up for 10 minutes and then got deleted.
Yeah, immediately everyone's like, hey, wait a second. Yeah, nope, wrong. Nope, don't do that. I'm honestly kind of amazed that he's still able to fool people with that. Like, how like
people I don't know.
It's one of those things where I'm like, he's done it so many times. Like, you would think people would be like, not necessarily like random people, I get them falling for it, but like media outlets whose
people don't check the ad.
This is
they don't check the handle. Like, people like if you look legit enough, I think of it like this. There are people that are paid to literally scroll through Twitter sometimes, or different social media sites, or even they're just looking at social media in general and find stuff to write. So it might not even be them. It might just be someone saying to them, hey, this person just tweeted something. You got to make this into a story. And so they don't double check. They don't verify. They immediately write it. And then people are like, this is fake. And they're like, oh, shit. And then they immediately delete.
Yeah. Nobody gets in trouble for that, generally speaking. It's just
yeah, you never know, though.
Yeah, you never know.
It's not like an organization's to be like, yeah, we fired our social media manager. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they're just like, you just assume it's the same person, but obviously they've been let go behind the scenes because of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just trying to think
looking.
of other stuff. So there were paper bags on people's heads. One of the best, like we talked about the thank you Jim sign that was slightly sarcastic, or very sarcastic actually, but there were like, there was one firebending sign that was definitely confiscated by security. This is the one that I was like so excited because Yerky 21 back in 2018, he's been on this, on the firebending train for a long time. He made this genius idea of a Mad Magazine style fold-in sign. So you have it folded out and it says, Finn, you're the best at winning. And then it has like Finn at the bottom, but it's arranged so that you fold it around the quarter and in the halfway mark. So the quarters on both sides and the halfway mark, and then you fold it in. So it takes the first part of Finn, and then and literally folds in. So it says fire bending. It was genius, and some guy actually replicated it in like really good style.
Immediately taken away at the door.
No, it wasn't. It got in.
No, he said it. I thought he said that he got through security. They saw it and then they took it, and like there was like people were booing.
Unless it was
at the doors. Or
no,
something.
because I thought he had
somebody else made it in with a firebending with a regular.
Oh, okay, maybe. Well, maybe it was a different one because I gotta find the original tweet. I thought it was the fold-in sign that got confiscated in the lower bowl. Maybe not. It was just a regular firebending sign because you're just gonna keep it in your pocket because some of them were smaller. If you have big signs, of course they're gonna see them. But if you have something that's smaller and folded, you can wait until the game and the camera's on and try to put it up.
Yeah.
But so there was that. Just going through. There's a lot of Twitter likes here. I'm just trying to see here.
His mistake was folding it before he went in the door. You gotta make. You cannot. It's just a rookie error. He's got to he's got to make it obvious that it's just you got to say, no, this is a normal sign. There's nothing folding going on here. And then you fold it once you're already in and past the security door.
Oh, yeah.
Then you
there's two other things that I want to mention. So about the presentation, one thing that was extremely fake and irritating, they do those things where they plant people in the crowd to like,
every team does
they
that.
did that. And I was just like, come on, we've seen this a million times.
I mean, lots of
the oblivious cam, as it was called. And then the second thing was, the stock for Tim Robinson hot dog memes has never been higher. Like you were on top of that by making we're all trying to find the person responsible for this.
We are all trying to find the guy who did this.
Yes.
Come
on, just fess up. Who constructed this roster? We won't be mad.
You won't be mad. It's clearly you, Jim.
It's Jim. Jim. You're the GM of the Canucks. It's like, well, that guy's dressed up as the GM of the Canucks.
It's like, like I only watched that video for the first time after I made that meme because
you hadn't seen it.
No.
Oh my goodness! You gotta watch.
I think you should leave.
You need to watch more of. I think you should leave because there's a lot of great. As a whole, I don't know if it's the best comedy show out there, but it's just like the individual sketches. Some of them are genius. The driving school one's great. I can go on about that. It's just that hot dog meme is getting some real mileage. Just not even in the Canucks context, but just in general. I'll see it in so many. He mentioned in 32 Thoughts, his blog.
Thoughts, which I was like, oh, that means he saw mine.
He probably saw yours.
He did. I'm sure he did. Yeah. Even though it wasn't directly attached to his tweet, I'm sure he did.
He totally saw it. Well, he follows not directly, but he keeps tabs on Canucks Twitter because he knows that they're out for him.
Drancer retweeted mine. My thing. He was like, "There was some good done today," and I'm like, "Yes." And then also, Daniel Wagner used it in his top 10 excuses Jim Benning will give for why the team's bad article. That was pretty funny.
And then I copied
I sent it to Cody beforehand. I sent that to Cody beforehand, like just thinking, oh, this is a funny bit. I wasn't going to tweet it out or anything.
Yeah,
no.
Good, dude. You got to do that.
This is so funny. And I'm like,
and then I was like, I don't have the talent for Photoshop. I was like, oh, I remember when the Canucks had this really terrible tagline. It was "Compete is in our nature," which is not even grammatically correct. And I'm like, it's more like comedy is in our nature.
Yeah. Funny 1040. Only the Canucks hockey only on Funny 1040 starting next week.
It's just gonna be like It's like, we have some important news to share with you. As of today, the Vancouver Canucks will no longer be in the National Hockey League. This was a difficult decision, but the reality of this team has made this no other choice.
But that would be a smart call. Like, that's different.
We'd like to thank the fans, the sponsors. It's like, and then they just play Green Day, send it off.
Just the worst.
Yeah,
just the worst.
I'm just okay.
Which is where "Thank You, Jim" came from. All of that.
Hey, yeah. Thank you, James Cybulski.
Jim. Oh God.
Oh yeah, no, I sent that. I replied to your tweet of that because I think maybe Mike Martinago made that. I don't know. But yeah, there's someone made a "Thank You Next" parody of Ariana Grande with James Cybulski's interview back in February of this year. It's great.
Yeah, that was a. I kind of feel bad
for me to watch.
I kind of feel bad for James Cybulski, but also just remembering every time I remember what the context was for that.
Yeah,
like, oh no, you did this to yourself.
Like, if you're gonna come out and shill for Jim Benning, especially during that loss, and be like, "Oh, he drafted well, let's get you're gonna get blowback for that, especially from this fan base.
It was literally him being like literally everyone.
Why
aren't we thinking about the rich person right now? Like, because he was trying to dispel as oh, and today people are losing their jobs, but you think it's okay to talk about your betting? It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't feel bad for a guy making 7 figures a year to do a bad job running a hockey team. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not worried about him not being able to put food on the table at any point. Like, oh no, he might not be able to I don't know, send his kids to equestrian practice. Oh, tough. Just anyway. That's to be fair, I don't know how Jim Benning's family lives their life, but you're not going to make me feel bad for him because I think he's going to have a hard time putting food on the table.
No, the reality is he was an AGM in Boston. He was a GM in Vancouver. And when he gets let go in Vancouver, he will be fine. He was guaranteed essentially to get hired by another team because Old Boys Club. It's literally in the contract. It's literally in the life contract, the blood contract of every single GM / AGM in the NHL. He'll make it through.
Fine.
He'll make it through.
But of course, that hasn't happened yet. He is still here and answering questions. And I guess that's kind of just the place we'll wrap it up here, is talking about just the things he talked about. The funniest part. So here's the funny thing, right?
Okay.
Before the press conference, I went on to I was like, oh man, because I was thinking about all the different excuses that Jim Benning likes to make during his press conference, because he never likes to take any sort of responsibility for his own bad decisions.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I should put together a bingo card of all the things.
You didn't even need to, though.
And I literally right down to the same, I was making one.
Oh, you were making one. I see.
Not necessarily to share out, but just as a joke.
For sure.
And then literally somebody else with found the exact same template,
idea.
exact same template and everything, and made it. And I'm like,
here it is. I found it. I want to go through.
I was like, wait, did I make? Okay. Did I share this out, or did Cody send this out?
Someone else made it, but yeah.
And then I realized, somebody else had the exact same idea as me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not the most original idea, just because we've been through 8 years of this and we literally have seen so much of these excuses.
They're not original in any way.
Well, I mean, some of them are newer, like COVID, but because that wasn't a thing before until 2020. Which is hilarious, for us,
considering that arguably saved his job the first time.
That saved his job, yes. If we think about how this team was trending before the COVID outbreak, or not even the outbreak, sorry, the shutdown.
He's screwed.
I don't we talked about this team, they had a vibe of the overperforming and kind of defying expectations, but that didn't guarantee that they would make the playoffs in 2020.
And Markstrom got hurt. Demko wasn't ready.
Markstrom was hurt. Demko wasn't ready. They got the time. They squeaked in through the qualifying. Because remember, there was a qualifying,
they completely blasted through a very cooked.
We want to go through each thing quickly and see if it happened, or just remember off the top of our heads if it happened.
Go through the ones that did get circled.
Okay, well, I don't have a circled copy. I have a copy here of just the blank copy. So the first one that I can see that happened was, I like our team. He definitely said that. He's like, I believe in this team. I like this team.
That might as well be the free space.
Our goal is to make the playoffs was also said.
Yeah.
He didn't blame. He talked about PD's slow start. He didn't talk about them missing training camp. so that didn't count. Says his team doesn't have enough depth. He talked about possibly trading for someone, which, first
He
round
talks
pick's
about
gone.
that every
First
year.
round pick gone.
We're looking at all of our options.
Welcome. I'm giving a future
Good.
welcome to future Canuck Ryan Dzingel when we trade our first round pick this year. So I'm booking that.
Yes, Barry Kotkaniemi. Come on down. Like
I don't know. It won't be
Who's
JK.
overpaid?
It'll be someone that's UFA that is a
Grit.
name that's kind of like
Gritty and
slightly more gritty than skill. And that I think is Dzingel. Like Dzingel's got some skill, but he's also got some like edge to his game, supposedly, or at least I don't think he does anymore. But
I can't think who he would be. I can't
schedule is
anybody.
unfair. He didn't mention the schedule. I mean, the schedules hasn't been very kind. Like this actually, the schedule's been quite kind to them now, but like they've just lost so many games that it's going to get even worse now.
The schedule's been easy. They haven't had
like I said, it's been easy over the last like 19 games, and now it's going to get worse. New players need time. I don't think he said that.
No, I don't think so either. He talked about the acquisitions he made, though.
Market negativity. He did, because he talked about the chanting. He talked
about. And you know what? Like, to be fair on that one, like, like he said, like, oh, that hurt, and I'm like, yeah, that's like, regardless of
it's gonna hurt. I get it.
Like, get warranted that was. Like, I expect him to be like upset by that. Like, that would be, it would in a way, it would be like weird if he wasn't. If he was like, ha, you fools, your booze just made me stronger. Like
you abuse me nothing. I know what makes you laugh.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Injuries
was brought up because Sutter is still out. And Mott just came back, but if Mott was still out, he would definitely cite Mott as being an integral part of this team for sure. 2 more years. Quads mentioned that. He didn't want to address that question for whatever reason. I have no idea why.
Shout out to my boss, David Quadrelli, for asking a great question. Like, I don't think he even meant it. I don't think he meant it to be like a particularly like.
That was a hot question, like hot off the presses. People were flipping that. And it was a smart question. It was a smart question to ask, though, because this is a talking point of fans. Often it's like 2 years away.
Every year he says they're 2 years away. The
timeline keeps changing because we've never rebuilt properly.
Today he was asked about it, and today Quads asked him about it, and he said, "I'm not going to comment on that." And it's like, but Jim,
I thought you
said
you're a big 2-year guy.
Years away,
big 2-year guy,
like months ago. Blah, blah, blah. Like. What happened? Again, because this management team has no plan. They have no real plan. They're full of fucking excuses, and
it's full of essentially a half-baked plan because they wanted to compete. They said no to a rebuild with Gillis. They said no to a rebuild with Linden, and Linden left amicably. Quote, which actually isn't true. Dollywall essentially confirmed that he left just saying, well, if we're not doing this, I'm leaving, but we're going to say it's on fine terms so that fans don't freak out. But yeah, no, it's the same idea because they don't think this market can tolerate a rebuild, which is a bunch of BS.
But we're totally tolerating what's going on now.
And if they think fans are going to tolerate what's happening right now, that's not going to go over well. It was interesting because today Don Taylor and Rick Dollywall had a bit of an argument. Essentially, would the fans now be willing to do a rebuild? Like if you're calling the season a lost cause, do you blow this up and start trading for assets and just redoing this all over again? Because, and I mean, I'm honestly for it because we never were in a rebuild to begin with. We got lucky with some pieces that we drafted late and also pretty early that, Pedersen.
The thing is, you don't even really need to do necessarily I don't even think they really need to do a crazy rebuild. I just think they need somebody in there who's slightly competent
and has a plan,
understanding what good hockey is, and makes a couple smart takes a couple L's on like players, like on dumping some salary guys. You could turn it around. There's clearly the makings of a decent team there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of not doing anything beyond repair and doing things like giving way too
another
much
first rounder or whatever to salvage
Tucker
a season.
Pullman.
Yeah.
Giving $2.5 million to Tucker Pullman to score 3 goals, or Or
3
the other
points.
thing we can talk about today, 3 points. My
Yeah.
bad. Excuse me.
That's all right.
Or the other thing that happened today, where giving a raise to Travis Hamonic, who apparently got his vaccine, was on his way to getting his second vaccination today, but also did it last week.
That was like the next
got turned away like earlier, like yesterday. Like
supposedly.
I don't know.
No, we don't know.
Crap like
that is actually like the next one on the bingo list. So Hamonic's late arrival, we'll count that as is. I want to go through these quickly still.
Well, hold up though. One other thing.
Yeah.
The fact of like, again, remember in September when Jim Benning got very upset at people asking about Travis Hamonic, and oh my goodness, he's dealing with a very serious personal issue that you should not even be prying into because it's rude and wrong and irresponsible, bad media people. And
bad
even
fans.
though literally everyone is like bad fans, and because it has nothing to do with him not being vaccinated, but also I'm not gonna say that on the record.
Yeah.
And sure enough, oh no, hey look, it turns out he wasn't vaccinated the whole time, and that was literally it. Like that was literally the whole thing. It was nothing to do with anything else, because this team can't get out of its own way. He literally spent a month and a half literally carrying water for an anti-vax player. Like, cool. Really cool. Like, just quality leadership right there. Terrific.
Yeah.
I'm so mad about that. I'm mad about that more than just about anything else that he said. Like, that's the most aggravating part to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that he spent literally wasted people's time.
It would have been better if they just said he's not getting the vaccine, so he's not on the team. End of story. And if he does, he gets it, but he's not. But they instead play with coy language. It's like, oh, personal matter. And if you inquire more, then you're a bad person.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that
people
they were
also
doing that,
trying to do that online. They were grilling us.
And it seems pretty clear to me that they were doing that because they wanted to get him to play without vaccination and try to hide it from everybody that he wasn't. Like that.
Well, they want to try to do the Aaron Rodgers route here or something.
Because he has been. He's played for 2 weeks. He's played for 2 weeks and without a second dose because they wanted to try and sneak that by everybody. Oops, didn't work. Sorry. Like, then technically we still don't know if he's got a second dose. He said he went today, but he also said he went last week within like 2 sentences of each other.
And I think it's like
totally full of shit.
I remember a tweet that essentially said that he probably won't even be back until the end of November at the earliest. So I assume that he has got it today. Like it's 2 weeks from today. Like today's the 18th. In 2 weeks, it's going to be the 2nd of December. So if it's 2 weeks after your second dose, that lines up. You might have gotten it today, but they just wanted to cover their butt and just get people to stop talking about it.
This team's a laughing stock. It's really fun. I love
organization's laughing stock.
Other teams are laughing at the Canucks now. This is just great. They're behind Chicago in the standings. Chicago, come on, like that takes effort. That actually takes damn effort to be able to do. So what the hell happened?
But Seth Jones scored.
Oh,
he finally got a goal.
Seth Jones scored. Great.
$9.5 million for $9.5
million.
So
like, okay. Like, I guess
it
could be like, it could, I'm not going to, I was going to say, how could it could be worse, but nope, no, could. No,
okay.
Could be worse.
I'm going to want to speed through these because there's a lot, but there's still, so talks about guys lost on waivers. They didn't talk about that. Bailey's on waivers, which is kind of relevant.
Yep.
And I'm mad about that actually. Chiasson deserves to be on waivers more than Bailey. Bailey's got the speed. His hands, they need work, but I'd rather have a guy that's speedy and quick and can throw some hits and be a physical presence. He doesn't have to score. You've already got players that have that role. And the fourth line isn't supposed to be a scoring line anyways. Like you've got Lamico who hasn't scored yet. And you've got fourth line. We were joking. Fourth line is so forgettable right now. I only know Lamico and Chiasson. But I don't want him on the team. And Mott. Okay. So you have like a Mott Lamico and Bailey line. I like that, because Tyler Mott's proven he can score. He's not doing it right now, but again, going on. Well, that's the free space. Yeah. He said at least, a couple times, obviously that's just his trademark.
I try not to make fun. I personally try not to make fun of that stuff. Cause I'm like, I do similar things like that all the time. I'm not going to make too much fun of it.
Yeah. Bad luck. I mean, he kind of attributed to that. He's like, we've never had this start. I was not expecting this.
Well, see, here's the thing. If you're a good general manager, you would have expected the start because you would have been like, hey, this team's no good.
Yeah.
I don't, this is not on the bingo card. And I know this isn't on the bingo card.
Yeah.
Well, but the other great question that was asked, well, there were two great questions. One was Drancer asking about the Jake Virtanen situation.
Yes.
Which don't need to spend too much time on, but because we've done it before. But Jim Benning basically was like, I'm not going to comment on that. It's like, you probably should because it's still, there should be an investigation going with the Canucks.
Is it concluded or is it still going?
Or not, or did it ever start to begin with, which is probably where my thought process
is. It was there even an investigation? Like they like to say there's an investigation and then nothing, and then people hopefully they just think people just forget about it, but no, like people are going to bring it up and people are getting people are giving shit to Drance for saying that, and it's like, oh, he's in Russia, it doesn't matter. I'm like, no, it does, because people are apologists for their favorite players, that they, even if they're terrible people, and again, I would imagine if I bet money that a bunch of those people who are saying that were also people saying, oh, the Hawks deserve to be held to the fullest extent of the Chicago Blackhawks deserve to be held to the fullest extent of the law. I would imagine I'd be a very rich man, because it's a serious deal until your favorite team does it. Then you're being too hard on them. You're being too hard on them. Not my team.
Not my team. And then the other question, the other question that was asked was I believe it was Jeff Patterson who asked, do you feel that this was the question, in my opinion, was, do you feel that you overestimated the team's success in the bubble, in the playoffs? And Jim Benning, a National Hockey League general manager, managing one of the most wealthy hockey teams in the entire
one of the
world,
most passionate fan bases,
one of the most highly
Canadian team,
jobs,
Canadian NHL team,
in one of the most highly coveted jobs in professional sports. His answer to that question, if I can find it again, was, I don't know how to answer that question. That's the quote. That's what he said.
Because it's a trap, but it's a trap he needs to just deal with and say, I overestimated.
It's not a trap though. That's
Is it?
It's
because the answer is yes. And if he says no, it just shows that he's pretty incompetent.
Okay, it shows that or you know what it does? Here's what it shows. If he says yes, it means he's self-aware of the mistakes he's made, which is good. Yeah. If he says no, he's still wrong. He's probably wrong, but at least he's giving a stance and actually showing a little bit of backbone on being even if it's a stubborn question.
Because he was in the middle of the fence, you take offense to that.
Yes, because as a National Hockey League general manager, you under no circumstances, when it comes to the skill of your team, can you be answering questions with, I don't know. No, you should know. You should 100% know. You should, if you don't know, that means you are crap at your job and you're not paying attention. And to that, I said, I quoted it, tweeted, and said, basically, I feel like right now with my high school diploma, I and anyone else who has one is overqualified to be an NFL general manager, because clearly you don't have to be that smart to do it. Literally, I think Steve Dangle said this. Or
just overrate. You just have to overrate a bunch of factors, and you're a general manager. Essentially,
kids, if you want to be a general manager, if you're a kid listening to this right now and you want to be a general manager, go for it. You can do it. You
can do it, and it's a safe job too. You get in, and you're stuck there.
You're there for life. You're in the business.
Not for life, but you got at least a decade, just set on being an NHL GM for one market, and that's not even being and when they get rid of you, you can easily get jobs down south.
Got a D,
or even just in another
you're good. You're still good. You're just great.
just in another place.
Can't tell right from left. Nope, you're still good. You don't really need to be able to do anything. You just kind of need to be able to sit there and just and say things like pucks in deep every now and then. Say, we need to be hard to play against every like once a month, and you're good. The checks will just roll in. Just be a GM, kids. You can do it. Anyone
also
can.
find an owner that really just likes to tinker, and if you just say yes to everything he does, he'll never fire you.
Yeah, isn't that the truest thing here, isn't it? Oh boy.
Yep.
And all right, speed through the last one. So let's get through.
Yeah. So adjusting the fans being back, they didn't talk about that. Lots of season left. I mean, it is early. I don't know if he said that particularly, but he's like, through 19 games, this isn't the start we want, and we want to change that. So, I mean, I kind of guess that applies. Something about cap space that wasn't brought up. No. It wasn't even about it wasn't about contracts and stuff. Like, I think some questions were about like, you overrating the performance of the team in earlier years and thinking they're a contender, but he didn't actually like say, cap space wise, we're capped out, even though we kind of are. Stay the course. That was definitely a theme of the thing, because they don't want to make any changes. They want to stick with this and see how it goes. Maybe if we lose another 2 or 3 more games at home, maybe they'll do something. But as of right now,
lose another 20 games, they'll be like, well, you know what? This settles it.
To
create a task force who is going to write a strongly written letter about why the team is not good. And then
we'll start a committee.
It'll start a committee. Like, yeah. Exactly.
So it's like, it's just one of those things. Yeah.
Committee. Like, it's just this long string of like, we're going to do something. And it's like complete bullshit.
Just on a side note, I just was confused. Like, Benning going out there today wasn't going to quell people's frustrations. Like, it's just going to make them more apathetic and angry. Well, like, I don't even get why they did it. Like, they should have.
Because he has to answer questions. Because as the general manager, you have to be, as the general manager who's literally getting called to be fired. If the team's not going to fire you, you do have to. You absolutely 100% have to put yourself in front of the media and answer questions. If you're not answering questions, being cowardly.
Well, of course, but it's still in his weakness. So it's a lose-lose situation for him. He has to go in front of the media and answer questions. And obviously, a lot of those answers are not going to be the answers that people are looking for or expect. So I just found that essentially, like, if people think, organization thinks this is a lost cause this season, why don't you just, it's a tough pill to swallow with his contractor. I'm pretty sure Green gets paid less than him. So
100%.
Yeah. Well, it's just like people like, fire Green and get rid of the coaching. It's the problem. I'm like, it goes higher than that. It even goes higher than general manager.
Yeah, you can you can fire the coach all you want, but if the GM's still there, nothing changes. It's
I was essentially just going for is that if you think that Jim Benning is not the guy, why? And you're essentially just like you're forcing him to go out to the press, throwing him to the wolves. Are they essentially just going to buy themselves some time until they find a replacement? Because they don't have one lined up.
Smart thing to do.
And some people were suggesting
you don't need to.
That's the thing. Well, this is the thing, you don't, because they have Smeal, and people were suggesting you bring in Smeal as interim.
Or Chris Gear.
Or Gear. Yeah.
Or Ryan Beach. Everybody loves Ryan Beach.
Yeah.
You bring in some literally just about anyone. I will say there was a thought that crossed my mind yesterday where I was like, hey, oh man, what if the Canucks fired Jim Benning and then made the interim GM John Weisbrod?
It wouldn't
I would not.
I would hate that, but to do that. I would hate it, but we would know what Weisbrod is doing because we don't know what he does now.
We don't know what the hell he does
because we've asked people. It's like, what does John? What do you actually do here?
He's Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother. It's
please.
What do you do, Barney? Please, just sign. He's the guy that just signs things.
He's just John. He's just meant to be the hype man for Jim, and also run players out of town that get on his nerves. If people don't know, he was the GM of the Magic, and Shaq was not a big fan of him.
No one was a big fan of him. No one was a big fan of.
Or
who did he?
One
draft?
player, maybe I don't remember.
Who's the one guy he drafted that people were very?
It was a guy in Calgary. Not Anderson. It was someone else. Shoot.
It wasn't Mangiapane. It wasn't Garnet Hathaway, I don't think.
No. Okay, wait.
It was
Give me a
somebody else
second.
who went to the Capitals.
Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna find it
It was
because
some college kid who he way over.
he was like super hyped about this guy. He drafted him in the first round.
Greatest thing since
it was.
It was really bad.
I gotta
Maybe it
find
was
it here.
Hathaway.
No, it wasn't Hathaway. If you say the name, I'm gonna remember exactly who it is, but it wasn't Hathaway. It was like
I know it doesn't matter, but it's so funny every time I think about it. Just like
because it's funny because you hear the name and you're like, oh, that player. Yeah, it was Mark Janikowski.
Mark Jankowski.
There you
That's
go.
right. Oh,
It's funny. It wasn't even like I just went down to Google and it's like related searches: Chris Gear, Johnny Gaudreau, Mark Jankowski. I'm like, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, Mark Jankowski.
Quick run through on the bingo. New coaching staff needs time. They got to figure out the PK. It's not even just new coaching staff. They just need to figure out a PK. Pullman suspension that wasn't mentioned. Wants to make a trade, but wants to make a trade, but trading is hard. That is true. Trading is hard. Everything's on the table, so trading could happen.
It's so hard. It's so hard for me to do. It's almost like I have no assets.
It's not hard when you. It's not hard when you throw extra assets that you don't need, that you probably shouldn't be throwing in the first place.
That's good right now. I'm making very bad faces right now. I'm making very stupid faces right now.
Yeah, well, hopefully more people listen to the audio version of this. So
yeah, or just go subscribe to the YouTube channel anyway.
Yeah, do that. Something about having to play new teams. He didn't say that, but he has said that before. I think when it came to Vegas, like a couple years back.
He said that about last year. He said it again.
What did he say about last year? There were no new teams last year.
That they only played the same 7 teams.
As in like teams in the division.
And that somehow made it more
That's
difficult.
Yeah.
Somehow made it more difficult to be good.
Yeah. Okay. Opening the year on the road. They didn't say that. Schedule, like we said, has actually been pretty easy for them so far. Yeah, and then talks about Abbotsford for some reason. Yes, he did do that.
Yeah, that was a bit that was just him not being good at words.
Yeah,
and I don't think there was a I'm not a fan of Jim Benning's work. I under no circumstances do I think he was trying to be like this is just as bad as Abbotsford and what they're dealing with Rivers and stuff. Like, guys, you should be paying attention to that. But like, no, that was not what he was trying to do. He's literally just like, look, what he was trying to say was, if the worst thing we're dealing with is a bad hockey team compared to things that are going on in the province, like literal towns being washed away, then we're doing just fine. And that is correct. That is correct.
I think a lot of people just thought relating it to a question as to how this team is doing. It would have been better if they just said it off the bat at the beginning, saying, hey, before we start, want to give a credit to everyone helping out in Abbotsford right now. Very difficult situation. We're working as best as we can to try to assist with that. Because Abbotsford Canucks have also, I'm pretty sure that the AHL team has announced that they're going to be doing a lot more stuff in December when they do come back for home games. They've postponed too, but like they still have home games in December. So I assume those will be pretty big games.
I assume they'll probably end up having to move some games to like the Coliseum or Rogers Arena or something, at least just to.
I don't know. Well, the Abbotsford Center
was the only team postponed.
Was the Abbotsford Center flooded? I don't think it was.
No, but I think they're using the arena as like
as an emergency. They might be. I know they're using another rec center, but it's like the Abbotsford Rec Center, not the Abbotsford Center. So at first I was like genuinely confused. Like I thought they had used it. They might be. I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I mean, you should.
No, absolutely.
Big space. Like,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So that's pretty much it though. I went through everything on here.
Cool.
That's
the show, guys.
Oh, actually, before you said you had the 7th Canuck banner. Where is it? I need to see that.
Oh, I did not.
You said it on Twitter, and I was like, I
have it up on my shelf. Just talk for a second.
I can talk about this. For people that don't know, I think it was like 08 or 09. The Canucks did this really kind of, I don't want to call it dumb, but it was kind of like an overrated type of thing, like, the 12th man in Seattle. Like, that's good. The fans in Seattle deserve that for the Seahawks, but they did the 7th Canuck. It was this ridiculous big banner that just had a giant 7 on it. and they put it at the end of the rink, and they're like, we're honoring a fan by being the 7th Canuck. And I remember seeing this, and I was like, cool, I guess. I was just talking about the history of this, and then they did it for like, I don't even know if they did it for the whole year. They did it for one. Actually, so yeah, they did it.
The banner was there the whole season. Like, it was up there the whole season.
Okay,
but
yeah.
They only did it for the
okay, yeah, because I gave the context of it, but it's like they because I remember seeing the video. I was like, they hyped it up, and they did it for one game, and then that was it. They didn't even the banner was still there for the whole season, and then at the end of the season, it came down.
It was quietly
it's probably removed. In the basement of Rogers, like the blimps.
Oh, that'd be a great
blimps.
The blimp, the Orca blimp.
Yes.
I want to know. You know what?
Quads.
Now that I think about it, I think
gotta go find them.
No, that's mine. I want that article.
Well, no,
that's
Quad. No, yeah. Well, you can write the article, but I'm saying you got to work with Quads because he was the one that inspired it. He's like, there's only one way to save the season. I had
that article years ago. I've had that sitting on my mantle. I literally have a sticky note that I've had for years that I want to do like Roger.
I completely forgot about those, and I now remember them because my first game was like 2007. And I was like, I forgot they used to do those blimps that just dropped like free tickets / coupons for like stuff in the arena. Like that was awesome.
Or like, yeah. Oh yeah. And then here it is.
There you go. You're the 7th man, the 7th Canuck.
I'm the 7th Canuck.
7th Canuck.
The best.
Canuck. You know what? There's only one way to save the season now, Lachlan, and that's to retire
an 8.
No, re-raise the 7th banner. Who is the 7th Canuck this season? I
want them to raise 8 because
for what?
Because it's one number for every year of Jim Benning's tenure.
Less likely to happen, but that'd be a good honor. Or you know what? They do the
or whatever.
So one thing that they've done is actually on a quick note. They've been doing like the frontline hero. So in the COVID shortened season, they did the frontline hero doing the siren. The horn to start the game. They're kind of doing it, but it was weird because at the game, they did it every period that they started. So it was like they had one in the first, and I think that was a frontline worker, or it was, I think, someone that was like affected or helping out in Abbotsford. And then the second period was a season ticket holder, and the third period was a season ticket holder.
Wow, they're really trying to get people
for that opening face-off. It was like, well, because it's like I think a lot of people are still in the they're still in the concourse, so they're just like we need a way to get to pump them up. So I was like,
they keep trying, and we keep not being.
So I was, yeah. So it's like I was just surprised because I was like, they're really going for this, and what they need to do now is instead of the hero to pull the siren, they just need to bring someone out to center ice and honor them and re-raise the banner every home game, the 7th banner.
Just raise it,
just like a jersey
one, not even one. Like it's just a new banner every time until the roof is just full of 7s.
Or no,
like all over the place.
Yeah, but the thing is, because you would run out of room if it's like a full size banner. So what they do is they do like a small flag like yours, but they just do it every home game, so it takes it forever. It's a slow rise with like Jurassic Park music, and then it's just every home game.
Now, would I get to pick
the
banner? Because I have a banner that I would choose, and it's right here.
I mean, I can think. Well, my favorite number when I was growing up was 16 for Linden.
If I was
obviously,
just gonna get the banner, I mean, if I was gonna get to choose a banner, it'd just be this one. I would just.
You just have a random Panthers banner.
It's a Luongo jersey retirement banner from when he was retired by the Panthers. I am very adamant that eventually, someday, I'm going to see this at Rock.
Or like
I'm going to see a blue version. Well, I'm going to see a Canucks version.
Well, that is a debate in and of itself. People were talking about whether Luongo's number should be retired or not, or even raised into the Ring of Honor.
I've had this conversation enough times. I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet. There are two schools of thought. There are the people who think that Luongo's jersey should be retired because he's the greatest goalie in franchise history and he's a future Hall of Famer.
Okay.
And then there's the other group of people who are wrong. That's it. There is it's the one hill I die on. If you don't think Luongo deserves to have his jersey retired, you're wrong. You're incorrect.
No, I'm not against that. I'm the person that thinks he should be honored, whether it is jersey or Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor is not good enough. Ring of Honor's not good enough for him. It's retirement, jersey retirement, or nothing for Luongo.
I'm good with either.
He's good.
I hope his jersey gets retired because no one's gonna wear the one anyways.
He is not Orland Curtin. He and Orland Kurtenbach are not the same. One of them made an impact in the franchise. One of them just was around.
It's not an equivalency. It's not an equivalency. Saying no, it's not. All the Ring of Honor players are not all the same.
Ring of Honor players are there not because they were necessarily like superstars. They were there because they were loved by the team. They were cult favorites and they did things in the community, et cetera, et cetera. They've been part of the organization in different capacities a bunch of times. Luongo is undoubtedly one of the top 5 greatest players in franchise history, and he deserves to have his jersey retired because he was amazing on the ice. Not
absolutely.
That's the difference, right?
Okay,
like, the
fair
Ring
enough.
of Honor is for both on and off the ice. Like, it's a little bit of both for everything, but like jersey retirement is specifically for how good were you on the ice, and Luongo was incredible on the ice.
That's totally fine.
We're not getting into this again.
Yeah, no. All I'm saying is that when I say Ring of Honor, I'm not anti-retirement. All I'm saying is that it depends on like the ownership and how they want to do it. Like, because I would say fans would want to do it, but it really depends on if ownership's like, do we really want to extend the invite to get an invite? And if it's more likely that they would be willing to do a Ring of Honor, then great. If they
I would be like, how dare you insult Roberto Luongo with your Ring of Honor? How dare you? Like,
we need to fill that Ring of Honor up. Come on, we need more Ring of Honor.
No, they don't. No, they
come on.
No, they need to save it for when they actually win a damn
okay,
thing.
so where's is Ojik in the Ring of Honor?
No, that one probably should go.
He's gonna like, all I'm saying is that there are players in the past that do deserve nights to go up there. There's only like 5 players and there's still like 8 or 9 spots up there, to be honest.
And
we've retired.
It's like there's no rush. Like you don't need to rush to fill those up. Because then otherwise it's like, oh god, there's a much better player we should put up here. Who are we taking down? Like, no, save the space until you know for sure you want to put him up there. And also, again, Kirk McLean's already in the Ring of Honor, and that was clearly done. That that feels like on purpose to me, in the sense of like, okay, they clearly know what they're doing with the number 1. That jersey is going up there someday. There's a reason no other goalie has worn it since. Like, come on, we all know where this is going. They're just waiting for the cap. I'm sorry. They're not waiting for his cap to like his cap recapture to like finish up. They're waiting for when he becomes the GM of the team in a couple months. In a couple of months, once the Olympics are over.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
He will. Next GM Roberto Luongo. I'm calling.
I mean, I'd be good with that if he really more media. He faces the media pretty well. So when when he signs a bad contract, he can just say the contract sucks.
His Twitter game is actually good. All right. That's been the show. The show. This is the CreaseCast. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to check out our Patreon. For only $5 a month, you get bonus episodes, info. New perk we added is info on whenever we have guests coming in. You get to know the guest ahead of time and get to send in questions ahead of time. Cody Sievertson is not here today, but he will be back on our next show. If you enjoy the work that Cody puts out, you can go check that out at ahlnuxharvest.com. Excuse me. Obviously the Abbotsford Canucks are not playing right now, but he is still pumping out the content. Go check that out. You can also check him out his webpage's Instagram at ahlnuxharvest, and him on Twitter at Cody Sievertson. Jacob, where can they find your work?
They can find me at JKMNEW on Twitter.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Lock in the Crease. You can also find my writing work at CanucksArmy.com. I just wrote an entire article about how this is the Canucks are coming to the crossroads where they have to kind of choose if they want to go with Jim Benning, if they want to save Jim Benning or their fan base. It is all up to ownership now. You can, I believe that's everything. This has been the CreaseCast. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back with a new show on Monday. Take care.